ZWO.
Okay.
So, but I didn't get my big scope yet, so I didn't install the Paramount with the Williams Optic 91.
Ah, okay.
So I'm waiting for the big scope to come. So I would say the polar alignment is done. I'm ready to do a T-point. I was hoping to do it tonight, but it's minus 25, so I will wait a bit. You know, I'm not in a rush. At minus 25, I know the Paramount can take it. You know, if you slow down the speed, so it doesn't go at the full speed, but you slow down the speed, so it can take it. But at minus 25, I'm gonna wait. So you know, we're close to the weather to warm up. So even if I wait another week or two, it's fine.
Your computer is actually in the warm room, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did run the cable, so I did exactly the same that you did. So I had to run an active cable, so 7 meters. So a little bit longer than 5 meters that what we can normally do. And
Yeah, so
it works fine.
Yeah, so what we found was we had to apply power. Like the active cables that don't have power are not quite good enough. Yeah. So you have to apply power at one end.
Yeah, I'm having some issue with the guiding scope right now. So I'm gonna have to download another Ashcon driver. So right now I'm looking, in the meantime, maybe using SkyX as a guiding software.
Yeah, you can certainly do that.
Yeah. I would prefer PhD, I think is a better software.
You can run them both at the same time. That's actually what we're doing right now. We're running
both?
PhD2 and SkyX simultaneously.
No, but I'm talking about using SkyX as a, because SkyX, you can use SkyX to basically replace PhD to do the.
Oh yeah, you can. If you have the imaging configuration, you get all the stuff. You get the guider, you get the imaging piece, yeah, and the focuser.
Yeah, I have all that. So my mount came in with SkyX Pro, and I have all those features with you know, connecting. Like even I can go full remote with that software. So that is great.
Yeah, it is.
I don't think the DCO got the SkyX Pro, huh?
Pardon me?
You? What kind of SkyX you have?
We're using the imaging edition. So the Sky Pro doesn't normally come with all those other pieces. Like if you want the imager and the guider and focusing, I think you pretty well have to get the imaging edition. So you pay a little bit extra for that.
Okay, I don't know if I did pay extra, but that's
it's easy to do. If you find that you want it, you just contact Software Bisque and you pay them the extra money, and you can download the other pieces.
So yeah, so at least now the observatory, I have a Paramount and a scope on it, so it's good.
Yep, all in steps.
Yeah, baby step.
Yep.
I didn't put any image yet.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day. We'll just wait our normal few minutes as I see people are still arriving. So I hope everybody is well and enjoying a spirit of love today.
I forgot about it.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I am in trouble.
Yes, you are, Sid.
Yes. So I will not be able to get my big telescope anymore then.
No.
Yeah.
So far, maybe I'll just go over the people I have noted who wanted to say something tonight. So we have Jill, Margie, Duane, Dave with some Edmonton photos. I don't know if Chris Gainor has any updates for us.
I always think that next week there won't be anything to say, but I do have something, so
Excellent.
put me down.
Lauri, I'm anticipating you might want to talk about Saturday. Yes. Okay. And where is our illustrious president? I don't see him yet. I was kind of giving him the last word, but maybe not tonight. Yeah. Anyway, so that's what I have. So we'll get going. I'll just wait another moment or two because I see we're up to 26 participants. So. And did I miss anybody? Does anybody else have something to say? Well, if you do want to say something, please let me know before we get to the end, and we can certainly have you on the agenda tonight. Okay, well, maybe we should get started. So again, welcome everyone to the Valentine's edition of Astro Cafe. I'm just going to start off this evening with two items. One is just to remind people that we do have some calendars left. I don't know how many Lauri has, but I have 3. And so if you are wanting the 2022 observers calendar, they're $15. And certainly I have some, and Lauri has some, and yeah, you can let one of us know.
We got 2 whole sets of them.
Ah, good. Yes, we got 80 this year. Did we? Excellent.
We had 80. Yeah, because
yeah.
of the problem. So I have lots and lots and lots.
Yeah. Yes. So we only got them late. That was the only problem. But there you go. The other item I wanted to just bring up, because and there are no final decisions, but and we have some new members here who are not familiar with the Astro Cafe in person, but we've been using a portable on the grounds of Sir James Douglas School for many years. And over the years, that portable was an after school, out of school care, I guess, and it's now become a full-time daycare. So in talking with the good people at the Fairfield Gonzalez Community Association, they don't normally rent that space out, and we're just kind of legacy users of that space. And some people will remember it was renovated quite a few years ago now, which did sort of cut down the usable space a bit for us. And in looking at if we had to provide some physical distancing amongst chairs, we wouldn't actually be able to get that many people in the room at the moment. And that program is going to continue going and expanding. So they're suggesting that we explore other sites, other rooms that they have, and they're being very accommodating. So we'll be, a group of us will be working on that. So when we resume in person Astro Cafe, we probably will not be in the portable. I think we can certainly say that for sure.
So Chris, will we retrieve the TV that's installed there?
Yes, so that's kind of the discussions and why we haven't kind of moved any further forward.
Okay.
There one spot that we could have already has a fairly large TV installed, but of course we had bought the one we did because it's good at displaying photographs. So I think we'd want to take ours with us as well and possibly install it in that room. So that's one of the options. If we move, we want to bring our monitor with us. And then number 2, we need to be able to have access to, doing other stuff that we've been doing there. Oh, and the other part is we could have almost any room in the facility if we are interested in changing nights. I guess Monday is one of their busiest nights. So that's another thing that we can talk about at a future meeting is, are we wedded to having this on Mondays? Duane, did you have a question?
Yeah, can you hear me? Because my video's kind of, okay. I was just wondering, the real nice advantage I liked about the Astro Cafe right now being virtual is that for someone further away like me, it's easy to participate. When you go to a location there, will you still have the ability to maybe zoom in?
That is the plan. And that was actually one reason why this space where they already have a monitor might be might be a good choice for us, because we could then have, if we can make it work anyways, have a monitor so the people who are there can see the people who are on Zoom, and then we'd have a monitor for display too. So that would be the hope.
I'm going to try to log back in here.
Okay, you're having trouble? Yeah, hopefully he'll come back in. So anyways, no decisions have been made. And so I just wanted to throw that out there, that we, this will come up again, but maybe give it some thought about, you know, are there, if we said we could get a, you know, quite a nice room on a different night, what, you know, are there nights that are better than others, et cetera, because everybody's got their own schedules. Or have people basically allowed Monday for this, so we really like to stay with Monday. So,
personally, I'd really prefer Monday. I have
Yeah.
other things going on, so.
yeah, I think Monday's worked out pretty well. One day that's very underutilized is Sunday evening, but I'm not sure how well that would work. So I'll throw that out there as well. Great. We'll just see if Duane can make it back. Just give him a second here. Especially as he's supposed to be saying something in a few people.
Oh, I do have something to say. Chris, so you can put me at the end.
Sure. Okay, I will do that, David. Just see, I just wanted to see if I see where, okay, Duane is back. So hopefully he's got a better connection now. Excellent. Okay. So anyways, maybe something new for Astro Cafe, but yes, again, we do want to try and keep a hybrid model going as well. Great. So next on the agenda tonight is Jill asked to say a few words. So maybe Jill's been a member for quite a while, but I don't think it's been to Astro Cafe maybe more than once, or yeah. So take it away.
Like Jim was saying last week, I feel like I know most of you, but I know you don't know who I am. I've been watching Astro Cafe on reruns because Monday nights hasn't worked for me. I've had a conflict, but now I have wiped the slate clear on Mondays, so that I can be here. And speaking of slates, and the reason I'm calling myself out and calling attention to myself is because if you look at the slate of positions for the AGM next week, you'll see that I'm down as for running for secretary. And so I just thought I should take the opportunity to say a few words about myself because you don't know who I am. I have been a member of RASC for over 20 years, 22 years, which is kind of shocking because the first 20 years I did nothing. I mean, it wasn't even lurking. I'd get my observer's handbook and flip through it, and that's about it. But 2 years ago, there was a conjunction of retirement and pandemic and meal-wise, and it kind of restarted my interest in astronomy. And I've done a couple of observer programs from RASC, and I'm in David's beginner's SIG, which is fantastic. I'm very interested in observational astronomy, and particularly with binoculars. I should say I have no science training. My background is in music and law, and therefore I find a lot of the discussions at Astro Cafe overwhelming, to be honest, but always very interesting. And I'm really looking forward to being able to attend these meetings now in person virtually, or maybe even in person live. So thank you.
Welcome to the group, Jill.
Yeah, and thank you, Jill.
Yes.
Yeah, so Jill got Explore the Universe and Explore the Moon last year. So 2 certificates in a year, so well done. And so that was great. Any questions or comments for Jill?
Thanks for running, Jill. That's great. That secretary's job is a good one to familiarize yourself with how things work in Victoria Center. So I think you'll enjoy it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're such a hard to get along with group. Dear, yes. So yes, and I echo that. Thanks for stepping up just on that note, we're always looking for people. So, you know, this is an AGM this year, but there'll be another one next year, and we'll still need people. So please consider it if you haven't put your name forward thus far. Give us a try. It's amazing. You can find yourself being president before you know it. Yes, Reg.
Yeah, Chris, I just would like to thank Jill for putting her name forward as secretary. And she's a very interesting person, and we're really glad to have her more involved in RASC Victoria Center. So thanks, Jill.
Great. Okay, so Margie, I think you're up next. I've lost you on my screen. Where are you? Oh, did I lose you entirely? Oh, no, where are you? I think we may have lost Margie. Okay.
Don't see her then.
No, she was. Hold on, she must have. Because we have she has another astronomer to tell us about, so.
Yeah, I noticed that she'd left a while ago.
Okay, I
Like
missed
her
that.
name did a little Margie left thing. so.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Is she back yet?
Yeah, she's not in the participants list, I can see.
No, no. Okay, well, that's always life throws curveballs and all that. So maybe we'll just hold her position and move on to Duane. Are you ready?
Oh, as ready as I'm going to be, as long as my video doesn't kick out again.
Yeah.
So as you all know, just like Jill said, I'm very familiar with all you, but hardly any of you, I'm sure, know me. I've been here for a few Astro Cafes now, and I'm also in David Lee's SIG group, which is phenomenal. I'm really enjoying that. But I don't know if you remember whether it was last week or the week before, I asked an embarrassing question. I thought I wanted to understand this black hole phenomenon, and I've learned a lot from you guys about different things in space. And it just so happened, and I mentioned it to Chris, that I attended it, and I didn't know if you guys be interested because you may want the actual expert to come. And he said, well, sure, share your experiences. So I attended the Toronto RASC speakers series they had on Friday, February 11th, sponsored through Richmond Hill, and it was a virtual sort of conference. So I just put together a little summary here of what I got out of it. And it was from a professor, Saeed Rasgu, who is working on quantum gravity, which is a combination of gravity and quantum theory together. And probably a lot of you know a lot more than I know about this, but I'm going to give you a novice astronomer's perspective of what I got about black holes. And what I tried to do was identify some really interesting things to me, and then try to connect astronomy to physics, and then back again at the back, how the physics is going to show what astronomers could probably observe if we ever could observe the black hole. So I thought I'd share that with you. And if I'm telling you something you already know, I deeply apologize. But I thought if you guys were interested, this guy did a really good job in my mind of taking highly complex, almost paradoxical thoughts and being able to present them with analogies that a grade 8 student could perhaps understand. So I enjoyed it. Can I share the screen? Is that okay?
Yeah, you should be able to as well.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it was all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully you can all see a novice Rascal's notations about black holes. So I mentioned the presenter was Dr. Saeed, and this is a little bit about him. I grabbed off the web. He's been assistant professor for the last while at York, which is where he published the most recent paper about this quantum gravity with another a PhD researcher. And some of his past experience was actually in Mexico, where he got some of his foundational knowledge. And I can't remember the country in Latin or South America where he worked with one of the renowned members who's done research in black holes. So that's kind of where his background comes. And on the right, he's done a little sort of a graph of what his focus is and how it's all brought him into quantum gravity discussion. And so how was he able to do these mathematical analysis to come up with this perspective? And they've taken data from both the Event Horizon telescopes and the LIGO, the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory, which if you guys are interested, the links are there about them. And the Event Horizon Telescope was actually a combination of, as you may know, a bunch of telescopes around the world where they formed together to get images about the black hole. And in July 19th of last year, they actually were able to publish the first picture, what they could see of a black hole. And he actually, I got something out related to that near the end. He's actually demonstrated why the picture looks like that versus what the physics of the photons are actually doing. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I'd share that. So here are some of the cool things interpreted by me, and I could be wrong in how I'm saying these things, but this is what I got out of it. That from his perspective of research, gravity is not a force. It is space-time. And so I asked some questions, well, if it's not a force, then what's attracting objects? And some of that came out later. He says the forces that attract objects are actually energy itself. And he had a really good way of explaining that, which I apologize, I probably can't do. Some of the observed anomalies of photons around black holes that he was able to share is that as the light enters the event horizon, which is that edge of the black hole where you can see things, and then everything past that gets sucked in. So the light doesn't come back, you can't see it. Outside of the singularity, it can travel back in time, but inside it can't. It keeps going forward. The other thing that I thought was interesting is that mass is pulled into the singularity, which is much smaller than the observable corona. So we actually see a corona on the outside. That's what the telescope was able to see. But inside of that is then this event horizon. And then inside of that is the point of the actual black hole. So that was kind of interesting. What the theory suggests is that the singularity, even though it's maybe a point in space-time, it's more like a wormhole that could maybe move to a white hole. So I'll share some of that. He explains how everything moves forward in time to this extreme curvature around a pinpoint, if you will, or a space-time moment. But they also saw a fissure of energy coming out. And so part of the discussion was a mathematical theory that if you keep moving forward in time because you can't move back, you actually come out of a white hole on the other side, which is interesting. He talked about this bridge that might exist between the two. The other thing that I didn't know, you might all know, is that every galaxy has a black hole at the center of it. That's what's sort of making everything whirl around, I guess. And the other thing that he was trying to explain, and I think this is the kind of answer I got from you all when I was asking, is that it's not quite known yet. Classic physics can't explain the phenomena to the event horizon, but quantum gravitational theory can explain the effect of the singularity within that. So that was interesting. And some of the things that he pointed out was that light bends at an infinite rate of curvature around the point of singularity, and that bending of space-time, I'm just going to have to move your window here so I can read this, makes it so you actually see the backside of the singularity at the same time that you see the front side, and the sides invert. So you get this weird optical illusion, if you will, of what a black hole looks like versus what's really being shown. And that there's evidence that everything is pulled into it, but it might actually come through the other hole, like I said. And so I asked a question, well, what would happen if everything's attracted and these are massive forces? What would happen if they got close enough that two black holes merged? And the answer was, well, a whole new black hole would form. But the chance of that seems to be questionable because the math shows that some of these black holes might only last for a couple of seconds. So to observe them is kind of bizarre. But when you're in the black hole, the amount of time it takes for it to actually disappear to observe it disappearing is longer than the time of the universe. So that makes sense. It's quite a paradoxical thought that he shared there. So I'm just going to show you some of the things I saw, and then so I think you guys have explained this to me before, that, you know, in quantum theory, gravity is actually the curvature of the space-time. And oftentimes we see people talk about that like sticking a marble on a cloth and you see how it bends. So he used this diagram to share that. And he talked about the black hole being a trap region of space-time. And because the curvature around that final point is so intense, you start dividing by affinity, and that's why general relativity theory, you really can't explain what's going on there. But basically, nothing can escape from the interior region. Outside it can, but once it hits that event horizon, it can't. And there was a theory about Schwarzschild radius, which is a way to calculate the distance from the gravitational center to the edge of a black hole. And this was I've taken, he's got a really good video, but I've taken just a screenshot of this from him, which he's trying to show, if you imagine that that's the event horizon, as you're traveling towards the black hole, you're getting sucked in. The black hole's the pinpoint at the top. You can't go backwards in time. You can only go forwards there. And he was using the grids on the outside to show how that would happen. So once you hit that event horizon, everything's going towards that point. It's all getting pulled there, and nothing escaped, not even light. And so what he was trying to explain here is that when you look at what a singularity is, which is a prediction beyond the domain that general relativity can explain, and you look more at how it relates to space-time, he talked about the fact that the extremely high curvature that exists around a singularity in a very small region is where you see gravity and quantum theory combining. That's sort of how he formed his paper to describe these things. So this was, one of the things he showed. If you imagine at the bottom, you have the black hole and everything's going to that point, but it's actually not going inside of the hole. It's at that point, it creates a quantum bridge to where objects could perhaps actually come out. So you end up with this kind of conceptual concept where things are moving forward in time. They get pulled into the singularity and then bridged through what we might call a wormhole into what they're theorizing mathematically might be a white hole. So that led to my question. Says, well, I get what you say when you're looking at a black hole, you don't see anything because it's all being sucked in. If you were looking at a white hole, then mathematically and theoretically, what would you see? Would it be like a supernova exploding? And the answer was, depending upon the size of the black hole, yeah, you would probably see really bright kind of whites like you see from a supernova. So it led to my question of, in astronomy, when we're looking at things and we're seeing what we observe as perhaps the birth of a star, is that actually maybe the inversion of a black hole? Who knows? So this was kind of his synopsis of what you would see astronomically if you were observing a black hole. And it relates to some of the things they got from the observations from the two telescopes that they have. So from a side view, he talks about this accretion disk, which is actually more of a sphere around a black hole. But if you look at it at a disk view, kind of like Saturn's rings, if you will, the light gets bent because of the severe curvature. So in the bottom right, you actually see what to me almost looks like the shape of a UFO, if you will, in a way, if you perceive them to be like saucer shaped. What you're getting in ABCD yellow is the actual backside of the creation disk, but it's curved so much that you actually see it as if it's on top. And you see the front side, and then you see the sides, and it's all the bending of light, and it happens all at the same space time. So the visual is totally different than the real. It's kind of an illusion, which I thought was really interesting. So if and when you're ever able to look at some black holes and you see what they saw in the bottom right corner, you might have a better perspective as to what you're actually observing. And this was some of the explanations he has. I took this slide from him, which sort of shows how all these different effects are going on. You see light moving in different directions coming at you. It's brighter on one side and darker on the other, because on the left-hand side in this case, it's the light's coming at us at a fast rate in a sense, but on the right-hand side, it appears like it's going away. So it appears darker, even though they're the exact same intensity of photons. And I don't know if you have time, but maybe you can go there. If you want to go to this timestamp, 2808 to 29, in this video that he did, I found a video he did previous, because the one I did wasn't, even though it was live, it wasn't shared. He shows a simulation of what it would look like if you went into a black hole and you're looking at the event horizon and how you see the universe. And then he speeds it up, because if the black hole is even smaller, then you have a very intense curvature. And so the rate of the stars moves towards dizzying. And then he shows you traveling in and in and in, and takes a view out as to what the universe would actually look like if you could physically be in a black hole, showing all the universe as like a big circle around you. And then when you minimize to the pinpoint, because the rate of the frequency of the light bending, the universe actually turns and looks blue. So mathematically they can forecast this. So he demonstrated that. I thought that was That was really interesting. And that's where I got all the information for this one. So I apologize if I've done him some injustice by summarizing things completely incorrectly, but from a novice's perspective, it was exciting, interesting, and I learned so much more than I knew. And I thought, wow, there's a lot of things here between physics and astronomy that can help explain how or what you might observe because of how the light, the photons react around these gravitational energy fields. Thanks for letting me share that, Chris. I thought he would be a great guy for us to have as a guest speaker sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that, because that's a lot of things there I don't think I've heard before. So
I couldn't explain one piece of math behind it.
so that's really neat. Lauri, you wanted to ask something, except you're muted.
Sorry, Duane. Actually, I thought that I was doing a clapping of hands. So rather than a raise.
Oh, okay.
I
Thank
was
you.
saying, yeah,
Thank you.
good work. Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. Yeah, it looks like Margie hasn't been able to make it back with us. So who's next? I think we've got the Edmonton photos. So let me see if I can get my screen shared here. And Dave can take it away in just a moment here. Where's my?
Sure.
There we are.
So the photo you're looking at here is taken by Abdur Anwar on February the 9th. And it's a photograph of M31 and M110. And what he was wondering is if you could, perhaps if you did a long enough and a good enough photo, that he could catch that stream of integrated flux, what they call, between the two nebula. And if you look very closely, you can see a slight hazy area between M31 and M110. He hasn't accumulated the color data for it yet, so I would expect summertime we'll get another image from him that shows that with a little bit of color added. And that's using his C11 hyperstar. So as usual, Anwar keeps producing some amazing photographs. Okay, now the next one, and I'll have to share the screen for this one.
Yeah, I'll just, so here's the write-up for it, and then I'll shut this off and Dave take over the screen.
Let me just get the bit up here, if I can, just 2 secs.
So basically, again, from it's around the same time, wasn't it? In some rain.
Yes, well, it's almost the same time, yeah. So let me just go back here and I'll see if I can get this share screen thing to work.
Okay, are you ready?
Yep, you just have to stop sharing.
Yeah, there you go.
And then, okay, so let's do share screen. Screen. Okay. All right, it says start broadcast.
Yay. It did.
Okay. This is not helping me. Let me just there we are. There we go. Does that show?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so this was a rainy evening in Edmonton, late in the day when the sun was right at the horizon. Because of all the moisture in the air, and because of where the sun is, it absorbs all the blue light. So what you're looking at here is a rainbow that's all red. And if you look closely just to the left of the rainbow where it is there now, you can see a very faint secondary rainbow that is also red. And I'll run the video here. So he got the complete arc of the rainbow. And it's all red. There you go. So how do I stop the screen share here? There you go. So that's so unusual occurrence that my friend Alistair Ling says that in all his years as a weather guy, he's never seen one. So that was quite interesting. I've never seen one myself either.
No, and I think Les was agreeing with that too. I think you're muted, but I think you were saying you haven't seen one either as a weatherman as well.
No, I haven't.
Reg, you ever seen one of those?
Reg is still muted.
Yeah, Reg is still muted. That's okay.
Oh, I haven't seen that either.
So there we go.
Yeah.
So
It's an evening for firsts.
Yes.
weather people have never seen that. So there we are. Cool. Well, thank you for sharing that, and thanks to them for sharing that with you. I think we're now at Chris Gainor.
Okay, just a minute here. Okay. Okay, you see my slide?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so ever since the JWST has been launched, they've been saying, oh well, there's not going to be any pictures until June or anything, and I think they were it was a bit of a white lie to kind of cover them in case things didn't go quite well. But anyway, they've started work on the trying to get the 18 segments of the main mirror lined up, and that also involves getting the secondary lined up. And they started taking pictures. It's a star up in Ursa Major somewhere. I gave you the name of it on one of my previous talks, but anyway, so they're using it to try and get the mirror segments lined up, and you can see that the image on the right is kind of an animation I just pulled off of YouTube of kind of what's going on with JWST right now with the 18 segments not lined up. But actually, that probably exaggerates things because they are lined up a little closer than they than could have been anticipated, and so all going to the four pictures at the left, and you can see two at the extreme left. You see those little streaky stars, I guess, and those are from the 18 segments, and actually they've cropped them a little bit in this thing I'm showing to you, but they actually all showed up, all 18, in one image taken off of the near cam, I think, from Webb, and which is actually pretty close. And in the lower one, you can see that even the ones from the kind of the wings that had to unfold, the B6, C5, B5, B2, C2, B3, showed up in the image. So now they're working on getting them closer. And then there's a little gimmick. The kind of the lower center one is the which says primary mirror selfie. So this was, as they said, they had not put an extra engineering camera on board Webb, but they are using near cam in kind of a special mode to look back at the segments, and so we got this selfie of the mirror segments from Webb. So I thought I would share that with you. Though these are kind of interesting things, and so this work is going on. what they said about having actual scientific images and not having them before June still holds, but anyway, the work of lining everything up is still going on. So that's what I have to share with you today.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, that's it was interesting to see that come up, so that's good. Sounds like they're making good progress. Peter, you had a question, comment?
Chris, I'm wondering if you know how they did the identification. It seems like the obvious thing is you just hold 17 of the mirrors perfectly still and wiggle one of the mirrors, and whichever star image wiggles is the one that comes from that mirror, or do they have some more sophisticated trick that they use for that?
The answer is I don't know. They did have a press session that day, and I was listening to it, but I didn't hear the whole thing, unfortunately, and I should have reviewed it. But I'm sure they explained it, but I just don't have that. It's possible in one of the stories, like on space.com or something like that, they have a bit of an explanation of how that works. But
it looked like one of the images of the stars was labeled. I don't know if that was a clue as to what was going on.
Well, I think, yeah, there was one where it wasn't labeled, and then the other one, I think they figured out which was which, and so they labeled them. But unfortunately, I can't tell you how that was done.
That's very neat. So that's great.
There's a very good little YouTube video that's only about maybe 4 or 5 minutes long. That you get, where you go to where is Webb, and like the where is Webb, and you go down to the bottom of the page, and there is a little link to a video that explains a little bit more about how they did the mirror and what they're going to do with the mirrors. And it was really helpful to kind of see. Now I can't remember whether or not they show how they exactly found all the different, exactly which ones were there, but if anybody's really interested, I'll see if I can find it. If I can find it, I'll put a link in if I can find it.
Great, thanks, Lauri. And thank you, Chris. Actually, on that note, Lauri, I think you're next.
Okay. So I just wanted, I did want to say thank you to everyone who was so patient about waiting for the calendars. We finally did get them, and we got 2 boxes of them all at the same time. We've got a lot, and if anybody wants any, they're absolutely there for the. If anybody would like them, they can get to me. If there are, I really want to say thank you to Joe, to Derek Trimmer, Chris, and I think I'm missing somebody else Jill, for heaven's sake, who helped to disseminate the calendars to different people, and we'll just continue doing that. So please just let us know if you'd like a calendar. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being patient. So the other thing is we are having the FDAO Star Party this coming weekend on Saturday night, the February the 19th. And Bob McDonald is going to be our guest speaker, and he's going to be talking about the intersection of science and art, and how art can be used to show the meaning of some of the science. It also is showing how it can be absolutely beautiful, and so I'm hoping that people will be able to be in. I believe, Chris, you sent out on the newsletter the email last Saturday, and we'll put it in again this week for you. So that's the Zoom link that you can go into for Saturday night, and he will be speaking at about 7:15 or so on Saturday. So please join in to us. And we are really hoping that we will be open on, I keep saying this, Astronomy Day, May the 7th, for probably our first time in person. But that's still not completely, in stone yet. So we will see. We'll see what happens. Thank you.
By the way, I thought I heard yesterday that was it the Toronto Center had an outdoor event with telescopes and things. There was all sorts of arrangements made to deal with COVID at this event, but they did have one. And of course, tomorrow, I think we will be hearing about kind of the roadmap out of the current regulations that we have in BC right now.
Yeah, I guess the further complication with this one, of course, is that as that's federal property, they've also got their set of regulations, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. We have to wait. We have to totally wait until the federal government gives us the go ahead to open. And I would think that we will not be open to 250 and 300 people right away. Like it'll be a smaller group, but we're hoping for sure that we'll be open a little bit more than we were.
Duane, you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Lauri, if you have if you've met all the demand of RASC members and you still have calendars left over, I'd be willing to donate some of those to maybe some of the high schools or school science classes if they might be interested.
That would be fabulous. I mean, I think we have. I think we have got the wherewithal to be able to do that this year. So for sure, I'll talk to you privately. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Excellent.
basically our goal is to cover our costs. So I assume we're only paying for 40 of them anyway. So I hope.
That's right. Yes, we just have to cover. We're just basically covering our costs, and that's.
So donating the others would be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good suggestion. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
David Lee.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Just a reminder that there's a lunar occultation coming up right after the AGM next week. And if anybody's planning on photographing it and you don't know how, or you would like some tips, just get a hold of me. My email address is david@victoria.rasc.ca. So that's my center address. And I'd be more than happy to help you out with that. The other thing is last week we mentioned that the makers group was last week, but it's actually this week. So this Thursday, if you're interested in tinkering and you want to know what other people are tinkering with, just let us know and we'll send you a link. Yep.
Yeah, Jim was here earlier this evening, but I think he must have had to step out. So, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, just let me know. Same email address, and if you're not currently a member, and just let me know if you're interested.
Add you to the list. Great. And I think that was all the speakers we had, except for Randy. Do you have anything to say? I'm sure with the AGM coming up and all that. You were here. I've lost you again. Oh, maybe we lost him again. I think people seem to be having network problems tonight. So, there you are. Randy, do you have anything, final words? Because I think we're around to you.
Well, the big thing is please come to the AGM. It starts at 7 o'clock. We have an illustrious speaker, Doug Welch from McMaster University and former member of the club here in the mid-'80s. And we need a quorum of 25 people. So if you can't come, please do contact Barbara to set up a proxy. And I have nothing much to say today. Actually, I'm going to say one thing. I have a copy of the facsimile of the first edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica, and it's got about 60 pages on astronomy, and it's very funny to read because half of the S's are look like an F. So when they talk about the sun, they're always talking about fun, and it's difficult to read, but it's a very clever book, and I am sure I will get some Astro Cafe, but not tonight.
No, and your connection is breaking up a bit, Randy, too. So hopefully not next week.
Yes, I will be speaking next week, so you get a break from me this week.
Yeah, yeah. Very good.
Probably a little out of date.
So, and thank you for sharing some things on the chat there. There's good links there for people, and excellent. Thank you for doing that. I don't know if I think that was it might be a shorter meeting this week. Because everybody wants to return to their Valentine's festivities, such as they may be. Does anybody else have anything for this evening?
I could share some pictures. If
Yeah,
people
Brock,
like
that'd be very
pretty
very nice.
pictures.
Yeah.
Sure. I've actually managed to get some clear skies lately.
Yeah, strange, wasn't it? There was that kind of
I know.
blue thing there, and a
What is it?
glowing orb in it during the day, and it's kind of funny.
Very
wonder
strange.
what that was.
Not sure what that is. Oops. Can you guys see the Pleiades?
We can.
There you go. That's several nights worth of data. So, but
gorgeous.
Got it.
Yeah,
nicely.
that's really interesting, Brock. I've never noticed the reddish star beside it before.
Yeah, there's a lot of quite distinct, like both ends of the spectrum. There's some very bluish stars and some much older reddish yellowy stars.
Yeah, you obviously ran the photometric function, right? In PI?
Yes.
Or
I
something
did
similar.
Similar, yeah. And then I also got more time on Orion. So I had an Orion shot earlier in the month, and then I managed to get a second night. So I was able to stretch the background a bit more and bring out some more of the fainter stuff.
It's an amazingly large object, isn't it?
It is.
How many images would that take, Brock, to put that together?
I think this one's getting close to 100. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Actually, the time is probably more important. Exposure time.
There's hours that are on there.
It's each exposure on this one is 180 seconds.
Okay.
3 minutes, you know. So, yeah.
And then I also did this one of the rosette, which I removed the stars, and I kind of did it with a really high sort of deep dark background and brought out the contrast. I thought it looked kind of more dramatic, so thought I'd give it a try.
It's actually very three-dimensional when it's done this way.
Yeah, that's how I was kind of, as I was playing with the contrast, I hit this point where it was super dark in the back, but then it just looked like a tunnel. It looked like this deep hole. And I thought, that's actually kind of a neat effect. So
yeah,
I kind of seeing dragon eye or something, you know, kind of looking out at you.
Yeah, it sort of looks evil almost.
Yes. So
lots of globulars in there. That's great. The globular dust.
Yeah, those turned out really well. You're getting some great shots. Well done. Does anybody else have anything?
Yeah, I want to mention something. So this happens on Saturday.
Okay.
It's probably not the most convenient time for most people here on the West Coast because it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. But the Inclusivity and Diversity Committee. It's Black History Month in North America, in case people wondered if they know that, although we're not a very pale group here. But there's some people in the committee. They've arranged an event that's going on that if you look on the main page of the RASC site, on the banner panels that go by, it's usually the first one that pops up right now. It's called To the Stars and Beyond. And there are going to be 4 speakers who are Black in Astro, who will be talking about their paths sort of and what they're doing. And so if you go there, there's a little click on that panel for registering for it, because you have to register to get in. That will keep people from Zoom bombing it. And if you're, I'm not sure how long it's going on. I think it's a couple of hours. So what is that, 10 o'clock our time? So if you're interested, just thought I'd put it up there. There'll be Canadian speakers. Because if you go looking, it is really hard to find people in Canada or Canadians who have gotten into astronomy and gone the professional route. It's quite rare. Kind of says something.
Yeah.
So.
Bill, do you know if there's more people who are in the technology end or engineering end?
That's sort of where they've gone
professional
looking. It's
astronomy,
just, it's hard to find anybody.
Mm.
I tried going through channels and I found one group that's based in Ontario that's sort of Black in science and Canadian. And I contacted them and they said that there were a couple of people that they would put me in touch with if they wanted to. And then I was ghosted. So I don't know if it's because of my skin color, but they appreciated, I put it out there who I was. And other people on the committee that are less pale, they've tried and they've even had trouble. And so they've managed to come up with 4 people.
Yeah, interesting.
May I just put a couple more things forward here?
Sure.
If we've got a couple of minutes of time. I just want to let people know at the national level, there are 3 or 4 other things that are going on, just like Bill was talking about the Inclusivity and Diversity Committee, as we are doing some work behind the scenes on the eclipses for 2023 and 2024. So there's a whole bunch of work being done there. We're also planning for the new NOVA modules to be piloted and tested out, starting, I believe, in the week of beginning of April. And we will need some people to help to come in and help us pilot those programs. So you'll get a little bit more information soon about that. You'll have to register for those programs, but you will be asked to kind of help out a little bit on going through the programs and doing maybe a little bit of a review to the right thing. And then the last thing is that we're going to be working on the GA, and I think Chris Gainor is also on that committee, is working on the GA for 2022, and that's already being discussed and looked at. And we're looking at speakers and programs. And if anybody's got any really good speakers that they would like to see, or workshop leaders or anything, we're totally looking at trying to get groups of people to help us there. And we're looking this year for having a concurrent themes or threads going through, so that it's not just one thing that you can see at one time. You can kind of choose which workshop that you'd like. And then with Chris Gainor, we're also working on looking at the future of GAs and looking at how they might be changed or moved or improved, and that we'd like some feedback from people as well. If we can remember our GA, kind of looking at it quite a little bit differently, right, Chris? And I'm doing some looking at what we might do in the future for the GAs that are coming. So anyway, those are just some things that are happening that I know of behind the scenes that I'm involved in. I'm sure other people have got other things as well, but lots and lots, that we don't normally see on a day-to-day basis at the national level. So thanks.
We're talking about changing the GA around. My little slogan is less work and more fun.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And some of the things we're thinking about is actually separating the AGM from the GA so that there's a little less business. And also perhaps changing the name of the GA. So anyway, those are a couple of things to think about.
And we'd certainly take anybody's ideas and opinions and looking for seeing how centers don't have to completely take over all the work like we did. I mean, in 2014 when it was a really major thing, because that's not very good for some centers to do, especially smaller ones. And so we want to be able to have it so that there's a lot of support and a lot of help, and for other groups to be able to help us kind of get across Canada. So it would be great.
This is a question for Chris and Bill. Are there any issues at the national level that we need to be aware of as members of RASC? Is there anything that's going to be controversial or talked about at the AGM or at the GA, I should say?
Not that I can think of.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's
that I'm aware of. We had a special board meeting last week, which is devoted to the whole shipping business, and but I think we are getting past that, and so I hope that things are relatively smooth by the time we get to the GA.
Yeah, there's a council meeting towards the last quarter of March, so I'll be able to report more after that. But
I thought it was earlier in March, to tell you the truth, but anyway.
Yeah, I can't remember. Mid-March, maybe.
Okay, well, you can keep us posted. The other thing I noticed, because some people have been doing the observing certificates, it was in the bulletin from the beginning of February. The Insider's Guide to the Galaxy is going to have some one or more segments on doing the Messier objects. So if you're looking for a new set of targets, because that was my plan to be my next one, was Jill and Pedro there, we did the 2 last year. I think we all did the same 2 last year. So we'll move on to the 3rd one.
Yeah, I know Brian's going to be starting it.
Yeah.
And tomorrow's Insider's Guide is from First Nations perspective, looking at the Astronomy, and so actually there's two days that they're going to be having some special speakers. So that's at 12:30 Pacific time tomorrow, and you just quickly register, and it's always really interesting. So.
If I can put a call out there, David has got a couple of us in SIG tasked with presenting stuff about the Leo constellation, and we know there's a lot of Messier objects in there. It would be wonderful if any of you astrophotographers had a couple of shots of some of those ones. We could share them.
That's a nice challenge.
Okay, there you go.
Send it to
Taurus behind me.
I'll put my email in chat if you get.
Very good. And thanks for the update, Jill, on Margie's internet went down, and you know, it seemed like Randy, yours was a bit, you were cutting in and out a bit too. So I don't know if there's some issues in different places today. So who knows? Just hope it's better next week. Yeah, very good. Any final words, or is that going to be it for tonight? Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day, and thank you for joining us. And we'll remember it's AGM next week. That's a different link. You need to use the email, the link you got in the email from Barbara Lane. And we'll see everybody there, and then we'll be back to Astro Cafe on the 28th. So thank you, everyone.
Bye.
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 Good night.
Bye.